Hey, 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 good evening, beautiful people. It's yours truly, Tammi B, coming to you with another session of Real Talk with Tammi B and Company, the show where we are recording live so that you amazing people can engage with us via the YouTube chat. So if you are watching our conversation via another platform, and want to engage, I invite you to jump on over to YouTube at Thassawoman, ThassaWoman, because we are recording live, unfiltered, and unedited, and we are answering questions and addressing as many comments in real time as possible. And if you are on YouTube, please, sir, please, ma'am, feel free to drop us questions and or comments throughout this conversation. And before we get started, I want to ask if you are not part of our community to please join us by subscribing, as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with new content. And if you enjoy our conversation, please support us by clicking the like button and or sharing it with others. And to the men, yes, to the men, I want to invite you Saturday, August 1st in the ATL. It is going down. We are having our first transformational conference for men. This is a spinoff of our monthly Real Men Real Talk conversation. It's called Pause, Breathe, Bro, You Matter. And listen, this is going to be a day of transformation, a day of healing. So I promise you, you do want to be in the room. And if you're not in the ATL and want to be part of it, you can go to Eventbrite and you can also purchase a virtual ticket. So listen, if you also want to sponsor the event or even take out an ad on the event, email me at that'sawoman@gmail.com for more details. And I am so excited, guys. Y'all know I'm just like a big kid with this podcast because I have some amazing, amazing guests as well as some amazing viewers. So as always, I'm so grateful for each and every one of you being here with us, along with my lovely co-host, which I see she has us on mute, Dr. Maya. So she will be back with us. But in the meantime, I have the lovely Nekesha Burrell. Good evening, Nekesha.
You. It is a pleasure to be in your presence today, along with all your guests and your viewers. It's amazing.
Oh my, it is a listen, the honor is all mine. It is such a blessing to have you here with us. We are excited to have you. And to Babalu Hernandez, hello. They say happy hello, so happy to be here. And Babalu, we are so happy to have you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining. Thank you. And I see my man, my main man, Mr. Shelly Sims just popped in. Good evening,
Hello,
Shelly.
ladies. Hello.
How are you?
Hey, Shelly. So Nekesha and viewer, Shelly is our resident realtor, and he's the king of real talk. And we have my girl, Dr. Maya Harold, who is our advocate in the domestic violence space. Good evening, Dr. Maya.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today?
We are amazing, girl. We feel like we haven't seen you in a month of Sundays. You only been gone 2 weeks, but you know how 2 weeks go. You know, we used to seeing you every week, and you done came back with a new hairstyle. Oh snap! Come on through, sis. Come on through. You muted if you said something for us to hear.
Oh, you ain't heard nothing I said.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So listen, I'm so happy to have all of you. The whole team is here, and let me tell you guys about our special guest. You guys are in for such a treat tonight. So Nekesha came across my attention as one she was on no, let me say this the right way. She was on my favorite podcast aside from mine. And I am so humbled and grateful for her being here with us. One, because she is doing amazing work out here in the world. And I know that her schedule is busy and she took time to be with us. So I am so grateful. And so let me tell you guys about her. So Nekesha is an author, near-death experiencer. Yeah, look, I can't even say the word right. I'm so nervous. But and see, and look, I'm gonna show you guys one of the niches for real talk. We record live, we don't edit, we don't record, but when mistakes happen, we keep moving. All right. So I will make mistakes, but let me show y'all how this is done. So she's a near-death experiencer and spiritual mentor who helps people reconnect with themselves through the wisdom of the heart. Following her life changing near death experience in 2021, she has shared her insights through interviews, speaking engagements, and transformational work focused on emotional resilience, self trust, and living with greater presence and purpose. Also, she is the author of On My Way to Meet God, which is a heartfelt account of her near death experience, which she's going to share with us tonight. And the lessons it revealed about our humanity, our purpose, and the love that continues beyond, catch it, beyond this life, as well as Seasons of Grace, which is a reflective prayer journal inviting readers into deeper presence, gratitude, and connection with the sacred and everyday life and more. So, welcome again,
You're just amazing inside and out. I just can't. You know what? It is my pleasure. I'll say it again to be here with you. Why? The energy is just so aligned. And that's what I like about it. It feels so good, feels so honest, and I'm looking forward to tonight. Okay? So thanks for having me, all of you.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. Y'all really don't understand. That comment touched my soul. I promise you, later you will all understand why it touched my soul. Oh, all right. So let me do this. So, what's good with you, Nekesha? Aside from being here, what's going on in your world, ma'am?
Mm, you know what? I was having a conversation with somebody before I came here, and she was a little bit down, and she was like, nothing is going good in my life. And I was like, you are just not understanding the power of the invisible. So it's like, God
Mm.
don't hear my prayers. You know what? Love is going on right now. The breath is right. It's invisible, but it's right. Hope, faith, and God. Everything is right. There is nothing that is wrong right now unless I choose to see it that way. And I don't. I do not.
Mm.
So everything in this now moment is perfect because I have everything that I need to still be here in this physical being. So, girl, I'm good.
I
I'm good.
love that. Y'all see why I love her? Y'all see it. I promise you. Ooh. Okay. All right. Before I go, let me keep moving, girl, because I just because her voice is just so calming. I promise you, when me and her did our a face to face Zoom, it's just like, well, one, she had me in tears, but two, with something that came forward, and then it's just like, where I had a little anxiety, it's just like, oh.
Oh, boy.
So as I move along, Mr. Shelly Shells, what's good with you this evening, my love?
Just work, same old thing, trying to stay afloat. And honestly, after what she just said, I said it this morning, like it's just what we only see what we focus on. So I got to change my focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I
Facts.
said that today. So that's all I've been doing is trying to look at everything different. Look at what's important to me.
I love that. I love Shelly. Hold on, before I bring you in, you guys. I say it every week, and every week I think Shelly can't go no more over the top with his videos, but he just put one up the other day. See, so Maya, did you see the bug breakdancing that he was DJing the bug spray with?
Girl, he is Mr. TikTok himself. He has mastered these videos.
You know,
I'm like, Shelly, in fact, I should have had that queued up to play. So I text the fellas from the Real Talk men. I say, can y'all, I told William he the closest to Atlanta because he in Virginia. Come take his AI privileges, please.
Baby, I got him dancing and everything. I said,
Hey.
oh, okay.
I've been,
Okay,
hey,
Mr. Stanley.
just trying new things. You know,
Look, you got to teach me. I need a course.
Okay, I've been trying to do something with my time. You know, idle mind is the devil's playground. So
That's what they say.
Well, you've been doing it. I promise. Because I'm to the point. I'm like, where does he come up with this stuff? How is he coming up with this? But you're definitely entertaining, Shelly, and your followers are building. So he gonna be the latest Instagram sensation in these streets.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a few coins out of it. You know,
That's right.
Hey, I am not mad at it. I love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. So, Dr. Maya, what's good with you, my love?
Nothing, just working. That's it, working. In a good way. In a good way.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, well, no, I'm glad you feeling better because I know the other week you wasn't feeling well,
I
and then
am.
last week
Thank you.
was the
Thank you.
men's talk, so that gave you another week to recover. So I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
you're better and back with us.
I appreciate that. You know, have
Yes,
those days, but shake them off and keep moving.
that's it. That's it. Love it. Love it. And to eldest daughter, which is my girl Nicole, girl, we sending the hearts back your way, girl. Thank you for being here. As a matter of fact, Nekesha, so Nicole has been doing looking at a lot of near NDEs, near which for those who are not familiar with the term NDE is near death experience. So a couple months back, she was telling me how she had been studying them and researching. So when she saw that you were going to be on here, she was like, I saw her story.
Okay.
She said, I saw her story. She said, I saw it. So we are super excited to have you. So listen, it is now officially cancer season. We've crossed over into cancer. So if there are some cancers in the building, drop your name into the chat and I will shout you out. I know that's what like June to July 23rd, 22nd. So yeah, shout outs to the cancers in the building. All right, so moving right along, let me give you guys our mental health tip of the day, which is 5 tips for improving your mental well-being. Now, one thing about mental health, a lot of the information is going to probably be recycled, but I believe it all comes when one needs to hear it. So how you are feeling matters. If you realize that you are not coping at your best, do not hesitate to reach out for help and support. Untreated emotional and mental health issues can affect not only your physical health, but most every other aspect of your life. So, some tips to keep yourself balanced. Something happened. Okay. Do some type of physical activity 3 to 5 days a week. Being active releases endorphins, hormones that naturally boost your mood. 2, eat meals rich in plant-based food. So, especially fruits and leafy vegetables, cook with spices like ginger, turmeric, and rosemary, and drink plenty of water, and even consider green or black tea. Make sure you're getting your adequate rest, which is like 7 to 9 hours of restful sleep each night, because sleep allows your body and mind to restore and prepare for the next day. And also, when you wake up the next day, think of 3 things that you're grateful for from the previous day. And then also, you can practice the breathing, the 4-7-8, in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. That is deep breathing exercises can sharpen your concentration, boost your mood, and reduce anxiety. And do this for yourself. Get outside for at least 15 minutes a day. Fresh air and sunshine can improve your mood as well as boost your immunity. So that is our mental health tip of the day. And so, in our little fun food fact, so Nekesha, every day has a little quirky food day attached to it. So today food fact was National Pralines Day, which happens to be something that I like. I love pralines. If my favorite ice cream is praline and cream. Anybody have a favorite ice cream?
Not really.
Mine's is butter pecan.
Oh, so add the caramel to the butter pecan, and you got pralines and cream.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Haagen Dazs
Yeah.
makes a really good one.
Yeah,
Nikesha,
they do.
Shelly, y'all have a favorite ice cream?
Not really.
No favorite ice cream.
No.
All right. Okay. And then, so today is also the celebration of the Census Day, which is a quirky holiday dedicated. Okay. Nikesha, can you do me a favor? Can you see if your echo cancellation is on?
I'll see.
I'm being told in the chat we have static in the background, and I think it's coming from you.
I'm gonna. I'm just gonna put my audio off, and you'll see if it's still there.
Okay. No. No, so it's some kind of
There was
feedback.
echo. There was echo from the doctor's side. So you can try yours in the beginning, but I don't know if it's still now because I can't hear it. I'll
Okay,
keep myself on mute.
okay.
Mine don't have echo, do it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, anyways, today was celebrating your senses day, your 5 senses. But I want to jump into our question because just got sidetracked with that. But okay, our thought provoking question before we get into our conversation tonight. Everyone, think about this to the chat. If you're in position to type this question, answer it for me in the chat. If you could ask life one question and receive a direct answer, what would it be? If you could ask life one question and receive a direct answer, what would it be? And good evening, Sabrina, and hello, Rosemary. What would it be?
My question, I say this all the time. I would just ask life, what am I doing wrong? I need to know what I'm doing wrong.
You say, what are you doing wrong?
That's keeping me from what life knows I want.
Oh, wow, that's powerful. Okay. I like that. Because that's honest. We're very now. I think when you came off mute, now okay. All right, Maya, what's yours?
Mine's would be, what do I need to do to stay in alignment for my destiny? Mm-hmm.
Good question, Nekesha. This might be an easy question for you, but go for it, my dear.
Actually, it's one of the hardest questions for me because I think I've asked all the questions I could have possibly asked, and I help people to answer that now. But if I could ask life one question, is how soon will everyone remember themselves? That's what I ask mostly daily, and it's only because I've been in that state where now I observe people with the shadows they carry and the old time stories that no longer serve. So the questions that everyone just asks, especially me looking on the life, is the questions that I used to ask before too. Because I believe that there was something external that was causing me not to feel whole or fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Oh
That would
wow,
be my
I love
question.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. That when will people really know who they are? I love that. Okay, so for me, I would ask life, what is the path of least resistance to living my purpose? That
That's a very good one.
Thank you. Because that is exactly what I would want to know. What is the path of least resistance? Okay. All right. This is good. Okay. So I do want to play a quick video because I want everyone's feedback. And then, Nekesha, I'm going to let you take off and tell your story. So, what I like to do is just kind of share something and just get feedback on it. And this one I found to be an interesting one because it kind of is a controversial question. So hold on, let me share my screen. All right. Um I'm gonna
You have a lot of static in your background, Tammy.
yeah,
It
I
keep
just
going in
muted
and
it.
out.
Okay. Yeah, she's muted now. All right, here we go.
God is a woman.
Really? Please explain.
The source of all life is a woman. Every single human on this planet came from a woman. So how could God not be a woman? Let him cook. For centuries, men have feared what they couldn't control. They've oppressed what they couldn't possess. That is the one power men have never had and can never have, and that is the power to give life. Let him cook. Religion, which is a business ran mostly by men, they turned that fear into law. They used it to shame women, to silence women, to punish women, all in the name of holiness. They vilified the women for centuries. Don't even get me started on the witch hunts that killed hundreds of thousands of women. And it wasn't outsiders, it was sanctioned. We're talking courts, churches, inquisitions, all the institutions claiming to speak for God. They turned our women into enemies. And that's not just history, because that pain transcends generations. It still echoes today. You see it in how women are dismissed, controlled, reduced. And again, we are all here because of a woman. She is the source of life. So the truth is simple. If a system hates women, it can be holy. And if it destroys the very source of life, it can be right. So it's on us here and now to stand guard, to respect women, to protect women, to honor women. Because without them, none of us would even be here. Remember, the goal is to leave everyone better than we found them. And it starts with you. My women, we love you and thank you. Namaste.
I like that.
He really cooked. That one was a full meal. I like that.
I did too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it I can't even begin to put my words together. Chelsea, Maya, you guys want to comment on that? Because he cooked, like she said, he cooked. And he told truths, but because of the programming, a lot of people won't accept that as truth. And that's what I was talking about, like where this particular topic is controversial.
I just had this discussion like 2 or 3 days ago, and someone broke it down with saying that God was a woman. And it made sense how they broke it down. And they broke it down using the Bible. So in that sense, I believe them. That's a very good synopsis. I agree with them. I do.
Shelly.
I don't think God. I don't think that means God is a woman. I think that might mean that God had a woman to create life. Yes, you know. If you
Say
if
that
you
again.
read if you could get the original Bible and all the scrolls, he had a wife named Azuray. So they just don't mention her. So if you Google or look up Azuray, they tell you that was God's wife. So she may be the producer of life, as in all women, but the creator of everything else outside of life. Who knows?
Okay.
I
We
gotta,
get
I gotta
'Cause I,
say, I gotta say, the reason why these conversations become so confrontational is because we tap into the identity structure of what God represents instead of understanding the enormity of what God is, that consciousness. We always want to identify. It does not matter if it's male or female because it's not. It doesn't matter. We identify ourselves in this physical form, which is very limited, as male, female, and now it's, you know, how expanded that is without judgment. But if we miss the actual message that he gives if we get caught up on the identity. We never got past the first sentence. Many people never did because they're trying to go back to a story that said God is a particular identity and they never heard the nuggets that came after that. So take that away for a moment. God simply is a consciousness of love. Okay, that's it. That river never stops running. Everything else that he said was basically telling us that everyone is a mirror of you. And if the feminine energy, which is a woman in a representation in physical form, obviously so, because that's how it was created to be, it means that anything that life comes from should be cared for and compassionate towards it. And if you do that, it means that you're also compassionate to you. That's the message we miss. So no one is deserving or undeserving of that love. He's talking about unity, understanding that we're all connected by one thread, continuously spreading, we're all one unit. And get away from trying to identify God or who deserves God or the word. God is simply a infinite river that never stops running. And just leave that love right there. And then every day try to take a bit of that water of life, yeah? And when you speak and act, and when you hold on to your thoughts, try to have that purity move from you. And then we will get away from all these back and forth. I can imagine under his posts how crazy it goes. Controversy, right? It sells. But do we understand the message that came from it? Because we keep shooting the messengers, right? He really came with substance. But I guarantee you, under his post, maybe there are 1,000 people who spent maybe the whole day being angry about one sentence and not hearing the truth that they're probably suffering from as they listen to it. So these are the things that now I, I hope we can begin to see life from a different perspective, where it's not, oh, it has to be a remote or it has to be a phone. No. How does it make me feel? That's what truly matters. Otherwise, this God thing is going to cause us to start more wars in our minds. That's not the reason for that source of love.
that is so good. That Shelly, were you getting ready to say something?
No, go ahead.
You sure? Because I'm getting ready to have her share her story. So if
Okay.
you want,
I just think that it just depends on if it's to answer the question. Like, what is truly the question? The question is, who is God? And I think that no one could even begin to think who is God because there's no answer to it. So what's the purpose? I think that people need to just focus on where we're at now and how do we make it better. So if you just look realistically, yes, women bring life, but they bring it via a man's seed. So we need both of us. So to think that it was just one person at the beginning, it's fine to think, but that just means that they created an environment that it grows on its own, which I've always said God is nature. So yeah, so I've never looked at it as who's who I've never looked at it as someone just watching us manipulating our movement or actions and all this and that. Someone millions, billions years ago started a seed that grew and developed into what we are today, and it's going to continue to grow and develop in other things. So that's all.
good stuff. Good stuff, Shell. And yeah, that could go on and on.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because we've actually talked about that before. So, all right, Nekesha, can you please, whoo, girl, please share your story. I'm going to mute myself because I want to make sure that there is no disruption as you tell your story.
Question is, do you want me to tell the entire NDE?
Girl, as much
Yep.
as you're willing to share,
Okay.
we are here for it.
Okay. We have time. We're good.
We
All
have
right.
time.
Okay. All right. So, for those of you who've never heard of me before, I'm a Jamaican kid who's always basically just got me in trouble because I asked too much questions in the beginning of life. Because as a child, I always had this curiosity, basically, for life, for everything around me. And I used to see things that other people around me weren't seeing, but I just wasn't sure how to identify it. And I guess as I started to grow up and go to church, which I loved and appreciated, I had a disconnection for what I guess church represented for me. And it wasn't just church, it was just the model of what church represented. Because as a Jamaican kid, I had Rastafarian friends. I remember at one time my sister had a Muslim friend who's a really good friend of hers. My best friend goes to church on a Saturday. I go to church on a Sunday. It's an eclectic mix, right? And I remember feeling very upset with God as a young child to say, why are there so many gods? I was very mad because I was told that my best friend was going to go to hell if I don't convert her to come to a church on Sunday. And I used to lose sleep over this thing. I used to say, Sasha, please. I always just wanted to have this connection to say, I want to save you, you know? And I used to hear a lot of shut up, you know. Why is it that, you know, she's not going to go to heaven? Why do I have to get her to come to? And I think after a while, I just stopped asking questions, the things that I would see or hear. I didn't talk about much because I recognized that people were fearful. So as I grew up, I was still curious, but I just didn't focus on it too much. But then the pandemic came. So life has been lifing. I've done everything I should do. I went through things in my life back and forth and quite didn't understand it. So every question that everyone else asked, I asked those questions. What's the purpose of my life? Why do these things happen? Why did I get heartbreak? All these things. And when the pandemic came in, it was a really big reset for me because the business had to close down because tourism, everything closed down. And I had a good year to sit with myself. It's not easy sitting with yourself for a long time, especially when you have always been that one who other people would see. I never really had time to see myself, see the old wounds, you know, that's not yet healed. The pandemic, yeah, it pretty much just ripped all those bandages off, and I had to sit with that and identify, well, who am I now if I'm not this entrepreneur? The business is not going on. What am I going to do? Right? And I had very subtle moments of having big conversations with God, properly cussing him out. And I remember one day I had this voice in my head in Jamaica, just close your eyes. Because I was listening to the news and everything that was happening, and I was in panic state like everyone else. And I recognized it wasn't my voice. And I remember I closed my eyes and I had this overwhelming warmth that took over me. And then I just felt heavy and then light. And I thought to myself, oh, that feels good. I want to feel that again. So I think that was my first part of meditating without knowing there was a name to it. I had no idea what meditation was. So I would do that every evening. I think my family thought I was weird. And I set up what I call a war room in my house with a nice presence that I trusted. So coming to New York, about a month here, I didn't come with a plan. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I felt there was something. So one morning I woke up and I was cussing God again. I was doing that a lot now because I can't see what's coming. And I'm very unsure and I'm scared because the noise outside is very loud. There's family members who's giving you their perspective. There's the news, there's everything. And I couldn't hear my own voice. And that morning I was very angry. Everyone left and I was alone. And I wasn't ill or anything. And I was just cussing and I went to take a shower and I was like, you know what? I might as well not be here. If I'm not going to get my business back, that's what I know. I was very angry. And when I went to the shower, I remember I felt a tickle in my throat, just a tickle, nothing else. And I went to clear my throat, right? And when I did, there was no breath. I couldn't catch a breath. I was hyperventilating and I started to panic because I don't understand why I'm not catching that breath, which is why I told you before, the invisible gift is the first thing for me, breath, because I didn't recognize how much I needed it until then. But in that moment, it showed me how many things had been choreographed before me coming to New York. Now, when I did my NDEs, I always talk about the asthma pump. And the reason why I talk about it is because it proved to me that God or universe or there was some plan made before I knew. Because my husband in Jamaica, a month before I came to New York, he's the one with asthma. And he forced me to put that pump in my bag. And the minute my breath wasn't coming back, the first memory that I got, which wasn't mine, was you have an asthma pump in your bag. And I remember I rustled out of the shower, still trying to rejuvenate breath. And I put my hand in the bag. And then there was another voice in my mind that said, you don't know how to use it. It's not going to save you. You don't know how to use it. And I say this now because after the NDE, I recognized the difference between the voice, because my guides taught me. There was one voice that was of your heart, and the other voice was the inner critic. That's always there to tell you to panic and not trust, right? But I remember when that voice came in, I heeded to the voice. It said, I don't know how to use it. So I didn't even bother to try. And I remember I knew I'm going to die and I didn't feel pain or anything. I just had this peace over me, but I was very annoyed. I said to myself, they're going to come find you naked on the damn floor. I was so mad with myself because I knew I couldn't do anything. I'm going to be naked. Nobody's going to find me until evening because everyone's gone out to work. I was very livid. And then I don't have any memory of being in this physical state again. I remember my awareness took me to this white space. It's not even like a room. It's just it's the whitest white. It's not even as white as these lights. It's just the whitest white I've ever seen. And on the other side, I recognize, well, I don't have a body, which is kind of strange. And as soon as I was to think, where am I saw the apparition of my grandmother. That's my mother's mom. And now I think about it, if I had seen anything else, it probably would have scared the bejeebies out of me. So I'm glad she showed up first, right? Because I was familiar with her. But anyway, by the time I was to think where I was, I remember as if I'm just get flashes and I'm just getting, I guess, knowledge. They call them downloads now. And I remember I felt an air as if I was breathing, but breathing without a body, as if I was blending with this space that I'm in. And I started to observe around me light orbs, just beautiful light orbs populated. And I recognized, oh my gosh, those are the angels. And I could name every single angel, which on the other side I had no clue, but I could name everyone. And then information just kept coming in. And then it felt like, oh my gosh, it's like a welcome home party. That's the best way I can describe it. It's as if that was a dream. You know, you wake up in the morning, it was like, oh my gosh, I want to go back in that dream. I had the moment like, I'm so happy I woke up from that dream. That's how I felt on the other side. And everything that I can think of, everything that I did, it was profoundly in my awareness. And I remember the first thing started to hit me while I'm seeing all the probabilities of Earth. It would feel as if I'm split into more versions of me, because at one point I'm seeing probabilities of Earth, what happened on Earths before, how it annihilated itself because of the conscious choices of human beings. But at the same time, I'm seeing individual things that I did. And I remember I was there like, gosh, you could have given that $1. You know, I was like judging myself, saying, you could have been nicer there. My gosh, why didn't I just, buy that house? Why didn't I was judging these choices, and I think I was getting lost in it. And I remember at one moment, my grandmother, her apparition appeared again, and there was something she was showing me. And I remember I had an awareness over to my left, and when I glanced over to my left, there was an angel, now the way I expect an angel to look, with big wings and all of that. And I never forget, it was like a rainbow of colors going in and out of a light body. What I call light body is a spirit, right? I could see the spirit and I recognized, wow, that's somebody who just came, to the light, like me, right? And the moment I was to think, what's happening? I heard spiritual rehab. And I thought, spiritual rehab, and then it just flooded me. That's what happens to all the souls who choose to come to the light. They have to work out their stuff. And I had the knowing of the ripples, which is why I talk about ripples so much now, because I did not know that every single thought, everything you do, every action is recorded. But it's recorded in such a way, it's not just per person, it's the energy and how profound the energy expands from what you do, right? So somebody can have one word and they say the same word to two people, but they have two different receptions of what comes from the word. Because of your intention of saying the word, that's what it means, right? So if you did something to somebody that's not so good, spiritual rehab is that place where you understand that being unkind to one person, you also feel the ripple of the child that benefited from that mother who you hurt, and everyone else who also were a part, a witness, or felt any kind of low energy from the one person that you hurt. So imagine if you hurt somebody, you allowed them to leave this world before time, and their children have to cry. And then the family suffers from it. And then other families who they were supposed to help, those are the ripples. So that was fascinating to me. And then I remember I asked, so what happened to the souls who don't come to the light? And immediately, without words, I got an opportunity to almost see. And it was as if there's a pathway when you change form, because the angels don't say die. There's no death in their perception or the way they translate it. It's changing form. So I have a physical body now, but my soul is infinite. It cannot die. So when I'm done with my assignment here on this planet, well, this physical form expires and your soul continues. So when they change form, there's some souls who become so detached from self, from their heart, and attached to either a habit, for example, somebody who drinks in a bar, and they've died, but they're so attached to the bar, they remain there in the spiritual being as an essence, as an energy. So I will remain in the bar, and there's so much more stories that can come from that. Or somebody else who lived a life that wasn't so, upright. The minute you drop this body, the anger, the pain, the trauma, all that stuff, it doesn't go with you to the light. But the moment you drop this form, you recognize the life you've lived. And some souls just don't believe that pure love, because you feel it. The minute you drop this body, you feel that unconditional love that you haven't felt in this body for such a long time. And they feel that light of God, of consciousness, of universe won't accept me for the things that I do. And those are the ones who remain in what people call lower energy, lower frequency, hell, whatever you want to call it, right? And when I recognized that, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I've always been so afraid of burning in hell. And then I recognized, wait, but I can do something about not experiencing that part of the afterlife, right? And immediately when I took my attention from that, there was this huge archway. It's just the most beautiful thing. And when I looked beyond it, there was, I describe as a crystal city, because that's what it looked like to me. And to the far left of it had these dome structures. They weren't like houses like the ones we have. They were domes. They were kind of round shape. And over to the further left of that was this waterfall and the most beautiful, I don't know what you call it, like a forest. But I just knew, I haven't been there, but I just knew that if I went through the waterfall, there was like another world there. And it just was calling me. And when I was to go towards it, because when you think of going somewhere, you're there. My grandmother appeared again and she stopped me. And when she did, immediately I felt this presence to my right. And when I perceived what was there, now this is huge, like this huge angel. And it was Archangel Raphael. And for some reason, now that I think about it, how the daylights would I have known? I wouldn't have. But on the other side, as soon as he appeared, it was like, you're my main guide, which is kind of weird. I'm a Jamaican girl, right? I only know about Jesus, and the essence of Jesus is profound. But it was strange for me, now that I think about it, to hear, oh, there's an Archangel Raphael, that's your main archangel. And when he perceived himself to me, the presence of him, I think maybe there was something that he needed to show me. So immediately I saw myself in my mother's room. It was just flashes and memories. And he was showing me that was me. And then he showed me a version of time when I was a little bit younger, maybe in grade 7, and I almost died. I was very sick, and that was me. So he's showing me all these imprints in my life coming up. The accident that I almost died in, but it didn't happen. Sometimes you have to say, oh my gosh, I almost died. You really did. But there was a guide there who protected you. And immediately when he did that, he made me know that he's going to show me 3 things about my life. I only need to see 3. And that was kind of strange for me, because I wasn't sure what I was going to see. And I was a little bit, I think, iffy, because, you start to think, man, they're going to judge me now. And I don't even remember the things that I did in my life. But I went through a room on the right. And when I went to that room, I can only describe it as like a honeycomb. It's the most beautiful thing. And if you can imagine what a honeycomb looks like, all those little circles were golden and pulsating. And the moment I was to think, man, what is that? I had the knowing that that is the record of every single person that's ever existed. Their entire lifetime, every decision they made. And one came out for me, which was profound. And I don't know what words to describe it. The best word I can say was like a hologram. But it really is a terrible description by saying that. And the first thing I saw was a memory when I was 5 years old that I didn't have myself. I was in a red dress and my sister was getting me ready. And I was curious because she said something. She said in her mind, I would protect you forever. Now, mind you, when you are seeing or experiencing your life review, you don't feel how you felt. You feel how the person felt, which is strange enough. So I recognized that she had that thought, and I thought to myself, why is she saying that? Because my sister is older than me, and growing up, I always thought to myself, I don't think she really wanted a younger sister because I'm the last one of 4, and she's 20 years older than me. So you see the gap in between. So she was really more like a mom to me than, like sisters playing around. So I've always been that little one to say, boy, they must regret me, because I don't get to have a sister to play with. So we're always going tit for tat like that. But in that moment, they allowed me to see her in her younger life. And she experienced something as a child that a child really would be displeasing for a child to experience. And that night, she said a prayer to God. She prayed to God and she said, if you give me a sister, I'll protect her forever. And that, I felt so much love that I've never felt on this side. I didn't know she loved me that much because I always thought she didn't like me too much, right?
Okay.
And they allowed me to feel the love that she had for me. And I didn't know. And that went away. And then the second one that came, I was in high school. And it was Valentine's Day. And there was this boy that liked me very much. And he brought a rose for me, a couple of roses for Valentine's Day. I'm the Jamaican kid who just grew up really silly. My mom told me that if a boy kisses you, you get pregnant. I was that stupid. I was a very silly child growing up, right? So when he brought the rose to me, I was embarrassed. I didn't know if I should accept it or not. So I refused the rose. But when that memory came up and I felt how he felt, Tammy, I had no idea. I didn't know that something so simple and silly could have hurt somebody so much. And then you know what hurt more? The ripples. Because of what I did, it caused him to doubt himself so much. And then just a doubt that it imprinted within him was so painful for me to experience. And every time I talk about it, I get so emotional because I didn't recognize that one silly act of a child unconsciously could hurt somebody so much. And immediately when I started to feel really bad about it, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. This light orb came out of nowhere. And this one wasn't white. It was beautiful. And the colors don't exist here. And I knew that it was his soul. And no words were exchanged, but it just felt lighter, as if whatever my heart was or represented just felt lighter. After the NDE, I tried to find him and they told me that he had died years before. So you have no idea how much I appreciate that. And the last life review I saw was, I was in my 20s in Jamaica in a supermarket, and there was this old lady in front of me, and she was trying to figure out what she's going to choose. She couldn't pay for her groceries, and there was a long line behind me. And you could see her putting back stuff, like, okay, maybe I can do without this and stuff. And I leaned over to the teller and I said to her, I'll pay for her groceries. But in my mind, when I did it, I'm pretty sure that I did it just to relieve her of the embarrassment also, and to relieve the line. And I remember she turned around and she held me like this. She held my hand and she said, thank you so much. But they allowed me to feel that that day she exchanged something with me energetically, and I didn't know. And I remember she said to me, I said to her, God works in mysterious ways. And she was so thankful. But what they did, they allowed me to see her the night before, which is why this floors me. And she was kneeling down in her room and she was talking to God. It was like a last prayer to say, God, I don't know how I'm going to feed my children, but I know you will make a way. The reason why this one floors me is I don't even know what came over me to do that. I wasn't even thinking of it like something compassionate. I was just doing something. And they allowed me to see that she has one daughter, one child. And what I did that day was I concreted her belief in prayer. I allowed her to concrete her faith. It was a solid act of kindness, but it wasn't even from me. God was using me to do it. And immediately when I saw that, I remember I heard like an army marching, and I remember I heard boots on the ground. That's where boots on the ground came from for me. And they allowed me to see the 3 children next door who also got from that grocery. And they showed me one more thing, which was almost taking me futuristically to show me that her daughter, years after, from that one story, is now also paying it forward, giving back to people how she can. And that was a ripple that I felt, and it felt as if I was going to explode. It was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, something that you did so silly, right? And then that all went away. And by the time that went away, now Archangel Raphael and all the angels are there. And many people always say to me, why I don't talk about Jesus. I never mention Jesus because it's so controversial. And that's why I didn't mention Jesus. But of course, all the angels were there. But by the time I was away from that, now I had all these questions. Why do children die? Why do people suffer? Why do I have heartbreak? Why am I going through these things? And before asking the questions, the answers were just profoundly there. There was just this knowing that you have a choice. And then I'm seeing all these probabilities, which so many of them have come through already on this planet. But they're showing us that we've given away our power of choice so profoundly that we've forgotten who we truly are. We've forgotten that we are not disconnected from source love. So much so that we use this one word identity, and they're showing me this is what the governments do, this is what's happening in the healthcare, this is what is happening in this sector. And they're showing me almost as if there was a charge to be put in all these infrastructures, like in the healthcare, in politics, in all these places. And they were showing me it's as if when they charge them, which means, imagine yourself putting a charge on a building because you want to take it down. When that explosion goes off, allow it to fall. And they said, now allow yourself to be new architects of the world you wish to experience, because these structures now will fall, but they're only falling to allow you now to use your power of choice. So there was so much that was learned there that we can't even spend today to talk about. But anyway, after getting all those information, which felt like 10 years, I remember I saw that Crystal City again, and I so wanted to go there. And the moment I wanted to step forward, or I don't know, drift forward, because I didn't feel a body or see a form. But I know when I think about it, I felt my essence moving towards it. My grandmother appeared again. And she was like, it's time to go. I was like, go where? And before I could argue with her, I was out of that space into this dark space. Now, this dark space, I thought I probably would have been scared. Now I think about it, but it wasn't. After the NDE, I remember I resolved to myself that felt like the womb, because everything that I was thinking in that dark space, I could feel it beginning to take form. That's how powerful we are as manifestors, as learning how to experience the life we want to. Everything that I was thinking in that space, I could feel the partnership of God, universe, whatever you want to call it, beginning to put it into form. And immediately it was like somebody pricked the darkest dark you can think of, and I could see a little bit of light come out. And as soon as the light started to spread, I started to slowly feel this physical form again, which is why I breathe like this now. And the more it expanded, the more I felt my body, and I felt fingers and toes, and I was on the floor. And by that time, I am just there, and I don't want to move. I don't want to move, because I just felt the most profound love that I never felt before. And I was worried if I move, I might lose it. But the first thing I recognized, while I had on the phone, because my husband had called me and he's still on the phone talking, I don't know how long, shouting, Nick, what's happening? And my brother-in-law is coming to the door because, he called him to come. And I remember I don't want to move because I don't want to miss this. But the first thing I recognized is fear. I felt fear for the first time coming back in this body. And it was that voice again. Did you just experience what you just did? And I remember I closed my eyes, still on the floor, and I had this thought to myself, did I just speak to angels and see my grandmother? And I felt as if something breathed me, which is the only way I can explain it. Just this breath that felt like it was the deepest breath I ever had. And I remember I heard this voice, this isn't just air. This is consciousness that you're breathing. And everything just flooded back to me. It's like, oh my gosh, I just know life is much simpler than I always thought it. So I remember my brother-in-law came, and we were on our way to the hospital eventually, because all I can feel is this fear. And I didn't understand, why am I feeling it in my heart so much? Like feeling as if my heart is racing, but I recognized I was feeling his. On my way to the hospital, I remember I wind the windows down, which is a weird thing to do. And for the first time, the first thing that hit me was the sun. I'll never forget it, on this arm. And when the sun hit me, I actually felt the sun move right through me. And it's the first time I think I felt every tree, every grass blade. I felt the wind. I felt everything move through me. And it's never changed. Now, I know there are people who are going to say, yeah, you probably had some weed or something. I don't smoke, don't drink. And I'm very practical in how I think and how I've always been. And when I went to the hospital, same story. The nurse didn't listen, but it was okay because how can you understand what I'm saying? You know, from everything that I've experienced with this NDE, the most challenging part of my life was returning. Because now I return with a different perspective. I always say it feels as if I had my glasses on and it was foggy. Somebody cleaned the daylights out of it. So now I see things from a different perspective. And I don't have the capability anymore as easily as I did before to judge, to hate, I cannot take part in it, even if I try. Because if I try, this body naturally shuts down. So it was challenging for me, especially for my Jamaican family, because I would feel their fear. Where you get this information from, these dreams, these predictions, what? It must be the devil. And I understand it. I have so much compassion for that, because how do you explain that, right? How do you explain to your Jamaican mother that you're talking to her mother who died when you were so young? How do you explain to her? So what had to happen over that time was my grandmother actually would tell me things that nobody else knew in the family except her and my mom. And then I would tell my mom, and she said, how do you know that? And then she would become more fearful, like, how do you get this information? And there were times when I doubted also what was happening, like, you must be going crazy for real. But it's allowing yourself to begin to trust the process of love, but not love with conditions attached to it. Do you know what I mean? And be able to see people and recognize that you didn't come back from an NDE to start a new religion, to start acting as if you know more than people. You came back for an assignment to allow people to be able to remember who they are before fear was taught in their language, right? And it's just this beautiful, long, but still worthwhile process of the first thing, getting the vision of the mansion with many rooms from Archangel Michael to give to my mom, for her to understand what God was. Oh gosh, let me tell you that really quickly, because Shelley, maybe this will help you in so much more from my perspective, because it's what helped my mom to finally breathe that I wasn't going down a path to hell, right? A few months after the NDE, I was always in argument with my family because nobody understood what was happening to me. I'm giving them dreams and predictions. They're seeing it coming through and they don't understand why. I'm talking to somebody and I can tell them where they feel pain. And I don't know either, but you know, it's a very fearful thing for people to experience. I remember one day after arguing with my mom for months, and she called me and she said, you know what? Before I die, I want to know that all 4 of my children are going to God. I'm not so sure about you. I'm worried about you. And that one hit me like a ton of bricks, because like, I can't be the one in the family for people to think that I'm not even with God anymore, because I don't speak the same way and I don't do the same things. And while she was on the phone, I began to felt the presence. I say the presence because I just know, I don't know how to explain it to you yet, but you can watch my videos and you'll see. And I felt the presence. I said to my mom, I'm getting a message. And she was mad. I don't want to hear no message from the angel. No, I hear no, the Jamaican in her, right? And I remember somehow, thank God, she got calm enough and she said, okay, go ahead. And the reason why I wrote this book, On My Way to Meet God, is because of this vision. So let me explain to you what happened. I remember I closed my eyes because that's how I returned to center. And when I closed my eyes, I was now visually on a puff of cloud. And when I looked, there was this little boy stretching off a cloud. And I thought to myself with fear, oh my gosh, I can't get to him in time. And if he falls, nobody's going to be able to save him. And I remember I heard Archangel Michael's voice say, human beings are always looking to find God far away from them. But God has always been with you. And then he said, look, Nikita. And when he said, look, I was now earthbound. And there's this huge white mansion in front of me. And now it felt like it felt in the NDE because I wasn't using words anymore. I just had this thought, what's that mansion for? And then I was through the door. When I went through the door, I remember I saw doors populating now. Crazy, right, Tammy? Archway doors populating as far as you can think. And I thought to myself, what the heck? It's a huge mansion. And immediately when I was thinking, why am I here? I was in the first door. The first door, all the doors I went to was on my right. I didn't go to my left. The first room that I went to is the exact replica of my mom's church in Jamaica, the Anglican church, with the organ on the right, everything exactly.
Wow.
So I remember Archangel Michael says, within this room, do you feel God? And I was excited because I knew the church, right? And I was like, yes, I feel God. And I came out that room, and then I was in a second room. And in this room, I could hear drums. I could smell the incense. It was like a native religion or something. And he said, within this room, do you feel God? I remember I said, yes. The third room I went into, I know now it's an Indian faith. I didn't know that. I figured it out. But it was more Indian based because I recognized that the word God wasn't there. But for some reason, I felt the resonance of pure love. And I remember I said, yes. Now, the fourth room I went into, it was a little bit different. It was a dark room. It was a huge table. And it was a girl. She was sitting down. Her head was down. And Tammy, she was crying her eyes out. Now, in my mind concept, I braced for it. I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. That's not a religion. So when he said, within this room, do you feel God? I was about to say no, because I thought, doesn't make sense. And Archangel Michael says, every human being who has a perspective of what God is creates for themselves one of these rooms. And when I looked again, I recognized light orbs around her. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, those are angels. Angels of God is comforting her. Whatever she's going through, she doesn't know it, but there are angels there with her. And in that moment when I identified that, this rush of love again, I was like, yes, I feel God. And as I was to think again, now I was outside this mansion. I'm seeing this one mansion, open space. And Michael said, can you contain God in that mansion? And I was going to say yes, because there are many doors I didn't go through. And before I could answer, all of a sudden, it's just all the rivers and trees and the clouds. And I thought to myself, oh gosh, God is also out here. God is also the rivers and the trees and the clouds and everything. And the last thing I remember I heard were the birds. I was like, how could I have forgotten about that? They're also God. They're a part of God. And I remember I said, no, I feel God out here. And in the next breath, I was a little bit off earth, and that's how it felt. And when I looked, Nikita, there were so many mansions being populated around that one mansion. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, are there so many religions in the world? Because the one mansion that I went into had nevertheless doors. I couldn't walk out that mansion, the amount of doors it had. And then all I'm seeing is more of the same mansion populating around it, nonstop. And he said, do you feel God out here? And I remember I said, yes. And then I went a little bit further up. And it's as if I'm in the clouds. And when I was looking now, look, Nikita. And I wasn't seeing mansions anymore. I was seeing planets now populated, which is why I did that painting back there, because I never want to forget it. And when he said that and I looked, do you feel God up here? And I said, yes. And the angel said, go and tell them, God does not need to be identified, cannot be owned. God is everyone, everything, everywhere. And I was out of that. And by now my mom is on the phone, and I don't know how long I left. But I got to tell you this. For the first time in a long time, I could get to tell her exactly what I just experienced. She didn't interrupt me once, not one time. She listened to the whole thing, and then she just said, all right, me talk to you tomorrow. She was just. And ever since that moment, We haven't had any arguments. She's not fearful about it anymore. I don't know what the transmission was. I don't know how the message hit her differently. But I've recognized that, wow, this isn't just for my mom. So I remember I sat down a few weeks after and I said, I must put this somewhere. Because the biggest wars that are fought in this world is because of these high walls that we build. I am better, you are less. My God is better than your God. This is a name you should call this Messiah, and your Messiah doesn't matter. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, we've missed the mark. And we keep building these high walls because I want to own what? God cannot be owned, does not need to be identified, because our earthbound way of identifying God still limits God, still limits this consciousness of love. So when I went through this experience, this was the only thing that gave me, I guess, gave me an in again with my family, because I think they finally understood, yeah. Because even in Christianity, there's so much separation. That's just one religion, right? If you tell people you go to an Anglican church, they tell you, well, I go to Jehovah's Witness, so you're going to the wrong church. You need to come to mine. Mm-hmm. There's so much segregation, and it's the biggest lie that's ever been told on our planet. We are told the story that we're all separate stories. Your story as Jewish, your story as Christian, your story as Muslim, whatever you are. But you know what the angels say? We're all the same chapters in just one book of life. We're just separate chapters, each of us. We have a chapter in this book. So why are we ripping our pages out? There's no taking it out. We have to put it back in. Otherwise, we'll continue to be disconnected from self. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Nekesha. I already know everybody has questions, but one thing that you also, I heard in your story that I would like for you to share too, like, I think you spoke of an incident with your son.
Mm.
They showed you how, your actions to somebody can make.
That was after the NDE. See, after the NDE, because it was so challenging, I still had this voice in my head that told me, nope. Your voice still doesn't matter as much to God. And the reason why that happened is because I was living outside of my own peace, my own sovereignty, right? And I remember I went through this phase of self-love and healing. They said, before you can help anyone on this planet, you must first heal you. And that was atrocious for me. Because this girl don't need healing. I'm fine. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm this, I'm that. The ego sets forward. And I remember the first time, when God is working in your life, He clears space. I was by myself for about 6 months. No distractions, no family, no nothing. And it was a perfect time because I needed that time away. And I remember I had moments where I just felt sad and I didn't know what sadness was. But I didn't pay attention to it because I know how to wear the mask. And I remember the first time Mother Mary, which many people say, why? But I had this connection with Mother Mary, and this voice is always in my head, and she says, look in the mirror. And when I looked in the mirror, she says, now look at you. Say, I love you. Tammi, I couldn't. I couldn't say I love you. And she says, because there is a beautiful Persian rug that you've spread over your wound, and it's not healed. And she said, get into silence and prayer, because that is where your truth is. And those 6 months, Tammi, every day I woke up to something new, and I was like, look in the mirror every day, tell yourself you love you until you feel it. And I cried for weeks looking in that mirror, looking at myself, because I couldn't. I saw every score and every fault that I found with myself all these years. And I recognized that the reason why I was so attracted and had so many people in my life who were abused was because I was abused and I just left it. I put that beautiful rug over it. And they were making me aware that it's time for you to unearth this so you can heal it. Otherwise, it's always going to show up in your life, repeating that pattern and loop. So I remember while I was there, they were showing me the patterns that repeated from the abuse I experienced when I was 12 to 13. And I remember the first lesson they allowed me to experience was the hate that you have in your heart for this person. It is time for you to forgive and surrender. Don't tell a person who's abused that, because if I forgive it, it means I'm saying it was right, right? So my first lesson was understanding that forgiveness wasn't for the other person, it was for me. They made me understand energetically that the reason why I was going through what they call stress and depression and on all these medication, because what's wrong with me, was because that actually was my teacher. The emotions I was feeling, they weren't my enemy. They were teaching me, hey, there's something here that doesn't align with you anymore. You've outgrown it. This mask, it's tight. You need to get it off. And what happened to me during that time, I recognized, wait a minute. Energetically, they allowed me to feel the more hate you have for this person, the more of their weight you carry. So forgiving yourself is surrendering everything to God so God can do what God needs to do with that person. But as long as I hate or I am judgmental towards anyone outside of myself, imagine yourself not liking 3 people, just 3. Do you know what weight that is on you spiritually? You've connected yourself to an invisible cord spiritually, and now you're sharing the weight, no matter what they did to you. So the surrender and the forgiveness is the first lesson that I got. And when I did that, I could look in the mirror and recognize, oh my gosh, I was saying to myself over the years, you're not so pretty. Your lips too big. Your hair's not this. I began to recognize that I became my own victim over the years, which is why I was mirroring other people who were also victims, which is why they found me and I could tell them exactly what they needed to hear to feel better about themselves. But I never learned how to tell me. And my son's story comes up because during this process of 6 months, they showed me a moment of 3 days, Tammy, that I didn't remember, that I cried for 3 days. The first time I got my heart broken. And I was living and I was planning, this world is better without me in it, because I thought something was wrong with me. And what people don't understand, which is why what I do now is so profoundly important for people, especially couples, when somebody steps out of line, whether they're unhealed or not, we must be accountable for our actions. We must be accountable for how we choose to impact others' lives, right? So when that happened to me and I was so hurt, I did not understand that in the beginning of that relationship, there were boundaries that were being stepped on that I was quiet about. And I didn't speak about it. So that person learned to have a relationship with the mask that I put on, not me. And where did that come from? Because at the age of 12 to 13, that abuse, it taught me that my love wasn't enough. Because I was very convinced that my power was taken away. There are things that you experience in this life that creates a pattern within you, but it's not your weakness, it's your alarm system. But I didn't know. Nobody taught me it was an alarm system. So I attracted people who weren't ready to fill me spiritually, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't demand it. I attracted people who weren't ready to fill me emotionally. I just took the scraps because my love, it's not worthy too much for me to say it's just my love I'm giving. So I'll take the little bit, I will sacrifice that. So the second lesson I learned was not judging anyone. This finger, don't point it. You're accountable too. You're accountable because you can see the first person or the second person that you've been with. The reason why they feel like the same person, because they're carrying the same patterns. The reason why they carry the same patterns, because they are your lesson. To say, okay, relationship number 1, oh gosh, it wasn't right. I didn't have a voice, And if you go unhealed, if you choose not to separate yourself from that so you can unearth it, the second person is going to be a different person, different country, different continent, same energy, same lesson. and it will continue until you learn it. So those 6 months in this room, they showed me, do you remember the time when you cried for 3 days? Here's a lesson I got from that. In that visual, I remember seeing myself. 3 days I cried, 3 days didn't eat because I wanted the attention. I was like, if I cry enough, maybe he will say sorry. If I cry enough, maybe it will change him. And I wasn't recognizing that God didn't put me in that situation to change a person or the situation. He put me in that situation for me to change who I was. But I didn't see it for all those years. So they showed me in those moments when you were planning your exit from this world, look, we were around you showing you the gifts that keeps on giving, the blessings of God. So they showed me my son coming in one day and he came in with a report card. Girl, I don't remember this, but they showed me. And they said he came with a report card, but not just like that. He came because we wanted you to see what life keeps on giving. I don't remember it. I didn't look. I was too broken. I thought I was empty. And there was a flower. I remember I got this flower from my mom, and it blooms like a certain time, and you can smell the essence. And I remember that night, all I could smell with that flowers, and we were usually excited to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to go out to see it. And I was so broken in myself. They showed me that flower opened the day early just for you. You didn't see it. And there were cats in the yard, and there was a cat that wouldn't leave me alone. Like, this cat wouldn't leave me alone. I was like, I don't want to cuddle and say. And they showed me these 3 aspects in my life during the time when I was planning an exit. Like, I don't deserve to live. It was like, you don't understand. Everything that you could possibly experience in this life that you call a struggle, understand that it's your biggest lecturer. It's your biggest teacher. And God never told you he's going to change situations. But situations happen because it's time for you to change. And that broke me. Because when I thought about that, I began to remember it. I was like, how many times have I done that? And I remember one evening I looked in the mirror, Tammy, and I said, I love you. I said, I love you, Nick. Girl, I cried. And it just felt like something just exploded. It's never stopped running. And after that, I remember that's when the connection of Yeshua came in strong. And Yeshua says, now you understand my blueprint. The blueprint I left wasn't for you to only look up to a Messiah. That wasn't the blueprint. It was for you to understand that every path you take, it's always returning to center, returning to the stillness. He says, when things became uncontrollable, I retreated to the mountains in silence, in stillness, in prayer. Why do you remain in the noise? So I learned these lessons and the things that I see that I have done. I don't speak anything now blaming anyone or judging anyone. But when I hear it, it immediately, it alerts me. My awareness comes up to say, oh gosh, that's how I used to think. But this is how I now see it. That fear is our biggest distraction. The fear of the strongest person you can think of. But the mask you're wearing is saying, I'm really just exhausted. Although I show you that I'm strong, under this mask, I'm really exhausted. I need somebody to see me, to care for me. And under that, the message that's coming is, when I was younger, this is all I learned I needed to do to be accepted. And these are the layers we have to break down. The successful person, very successful like I am, and I have my jacket and my suit and I drive an expensive car, but behind that mask, I'm empty inside, but nobody can see it. I can't afford for them to see it. So I must wear this mask. So when do I check in with self? When do I get into this still place to understand I don't have one enemy on this planet? Even if they try to be, all I have around me are teachers. So my question would be, which mask are you wearing that has already expired, that keeps telling you it's time to let me go? Because that's a question that hits deep. But we must understand that the crisis we're going through now on this planet, it's a lot of wars, a lot of things in politics, and the news feeds show you this. But isn't it interesting? At the time when technology is at its highest, we also have the highest crisis in emotional and spiritual instability. Nobody understands who they are. Because the war that you see fighting in other countries, it's happening right here in your mind. Because there's some part of you that judges it while it triggers you. While you scroll and feed your attention and awareness into something that makes you angry. Do you not understand what your own soul is asking you for? Peace, joy, sovereignty, love. And if we choose to feed into fear, it will propagate things that I need outside of myself. I need to be like that person. I need to get that thing. Does it feed you spiritually? Does it give you peace? And be able to look at your table for once. Who are the people that I have seated at my table right now? Are they feeding me? Are they allowing me to feel peace? Am I remaining in my state of joy? Or are these people pulling me away from peace? Are they keeping me up at night where I can't sleep? But without apology, stop putting chairs for these people to sit, for these memories to sit, for these stories to sit, for these beliefs to sit. It's making me feel uncomfortable. What happened to our power of choice? I gave that away for years, all the way up to my late 30s. I didn't think I had the power to choose. And the moment I started to choose for myself, I cleared rooms. But I'm unapologetic about it. I don't want to be a part of your conversation because I can feel my body telling me this is not something that you need to be a part of. And all of us feel it. We override it though, because we live here. You feel that dull feeling in your gut the first day you met that person and it wasn't for you. You felt it. You overrode it. The conversation you had, the financial decision you made, you felt it. The biggest technology, the greatest technology ever created is us, this body that we carry. And the soul that's looking through these eyes asks us only to do two things. Every day you wake up, do I choose to give love? Do I choose to withhold love? Not from them, from you. And from that place, then you do checks and balances on everything else in your life. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes. So, Nekesha, girl, we're probably gonna have you come back because I know we got tons of questions, but let's try to get through some because something I want to get clarity on. So in your NDE, you did meet Jesus, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me
Okay.
explain what it is like. It's one consciousness of love. And depending on what you believe in here, those are the energies that you're usually met with. Jesus has always been my anchor. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I don't speak about Jesus yet, not in public form, but in my community, is because there's a lot more information that's not in text that I'm not ready to talk about publicly because the world isn't ready for that information
Right.
publicly,
Right.
which is why I leave much respect for that. But the essence of Yeshua is this essence that is so profound that it makes you cry every time. And it makes you understand how big of an assignment he had. His assignment was us, so we can navigate this world according to the seasons in our life. I'll just tell you one thing. Yeshua said it was a good lesson. He says, we worry and talk a lot about the things that are convoluted in all the Bible and the text and all of that. None of that still is important. We can search forever for all the information. He says it's not even what. What's important is this. If you follow the stories in the Bible, every one of the stories, it's the only thing that they did not convolute because they never knew that there were encrypted messages in every one of those stories. No matter what you're going through in your life right now, just ask yourself, what season am I in now? Ruth, Jonah, Jesus, Joseph, any one of them. Because each one of these stories, what did it show you? No matter what you go through in life, you always found grace. You always found favor. And you always, once you trust that process, you're always being seen through to the end. Simple blueprints, and allowing yourself to know what gives me peace and joy, which is what Yeshua did. And he knew that, which is why they couldn't get him in gossip. They couldn't get him to want to take the world. They couldn't get him to conform to anything outside of himself. And because of that, that is a blueprint he left. So you can understand why you're forcing yourself to live outside of your circle. If you know who you are, I know that this is the thing that gives me peace. Remain in that state. And when you do, you will know the moment something is happening that's distracting you from it. Whether it's a news, a friend, husband, child, partner, world, doesn't matter. And if we live like that, you'll be okay. Because you'll always be aware to pull yourself back to this source level, which is where you should make decisions from. Okay?
I love that because I know that and I'm going to definitely have to tune in more because I was listening to your communities and got distracted and yeah, it's some things that I've learned about Jesus, which actually it wasn't until last year that I learned Yeshua was his name also. Growing up I never knew his name was Yeshua, but and also I know earlier you mentioned the soul database, which I'm assuming you were talking about the Akashic records. Is that
Yes.
yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but I I am familiar with the Akashic records. I'm familiar with Edgar Case. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah.
He used to access the Akashic records. In
Everyone.
fact, I have a lady coming on in September that is able to access the Akashic records.
All of you can.
Yeah, exactly. We can. Thank you for thank you for that because that is something big that people don't know. We have the same power and access, but the process, we've kind of our pineal gland is kind of
No, not even that. It's just your awareness. Fear does not exist where source truth is. You have to allow yourself to relieve every aspect of fear from who you are. Because fear doesn't allow you to see that truth. Consider fear a parasite. Consider fear an energy that's always earthbound, that tries to challenge the pure love that you are. It is a challenge that we were born into. How can I prove to you or give you experiences that test source love, that test the love that you are? Anger, pain, shame, trauma, all these things. They're earthbound emotional constructs. The only thing a child is born with is love and forgiveness in the same breath. Nothing else. If you want to see the grace of God and who you are, observe a child. Put 2 or 3 children in a room. Push each other down. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. And they forgive in the same breath. They are incapable until we start to teach them the language with fear embedded to it. Oh my gosh, don't do this. Oh my gosh, don't like that. But until we do that, each one of us have that superpower. We forgot. I forgot. Do you understand?
I do. So answer this question for the people. Our parents, did we choose them? Because you just mentioned children. We did choose our parents.
Every soul chooses a family they're in. For one reason or the other. No matter how the parents are. Because they're either your teachers or you're teaching them. If you notice your children, when your children come, they either mirror you or they teach the daylights out of you. They teach you to talk up because you've been keeping your voice too quiet and you got a talkative child because my energy is here to teach you, to try to remind you you did not come here to settle. And whatever dynamics these souls choose when they're here, we do choose these little patterns that we come into. But it's all taking us back to one place. Do I choose to give love through the experiences and the challenges that I have? Or do I choose to withhold it? And it goes for everyone who needs to be accountable. So the person who abused you, people will say, okay, that was a soul agreement. Yes, it is a soul agreement. However, what we miss is everyone still has to be accountable because they could have chosen love over the abuse. So there still isn't no right or wrong. There is simply love or withholding love. And if they didn't choose love in the situation, they still have to face those ripples.
That is so good. And also I heard, and also I was also chuckling when you mentioned the angel Raphael, because there is a lady that I listen to that channels him as well. And I don't know if you're familiar with her, Kelly, but Kelly channels Raphael, and she literally has a talk with him every week. And so I be tuning in because I want to hear. But you mentioned the Mother Mary.
Mhm.
Now, just for clarity, Mother Mary, is that Jesus's mother?
Yes.
And so since this experience, um, from what I was understanding from the interview, Mother Mary gives you messages to give others, or she comes forth, because I know she showed up in our conversation. Let me just go ahead and say that she showed up in our conversation, and she gave me an assignment that I am definitely working on. So, like, um is she like a, can you talk about her for a quick second, please?
Well, Mother Mary took me through my self-love and healing, through all those wounds that I wanted to carry. And I find that she's not the only one that shows up, but she shows up, I think, a lot for women or people who are going through those broken wounds. Each one of the angel, the essences of each angel has a different pattern. Raphael steps forward a lot if there's something wrong with your body, or, because he's the healer archetype.
Healer.
Mother Mary is the very motherly, nurturing archetype that tells you to straighten your back type of thing. She's very more abrupt, just like a strict mother would be. You should know better, this type of thing, not in judgment, but just kind of setting you straight for you to make choices from the heart, right? Yeshua comes forward just universally all the time, and it just depends on who is across the screen. But what I want you to understand is people who sit across the screen from me, I am not bringing angels in for you. You bring them in. You bring them in, which is why I always have to say, when the screen closes, okay, don't go depend and say, oh my gosh, I have to call Nikki again, because you're the one who brought your essence in. You're an essence. So it's not I brought Mother Mary to you. Mother Mary showed up for you. Do you understand? So it's not me.
Because you told me you told me she had been pushing my patootie. You did tell me she's been there.
It's not me. It's just an essence, and the only reason why I can be aware to do that is because now I let all those things go. I let go of the limitations of thinking that, oh gosh, in this body you can't do this, and because of that, I can allow myself to hear my own voice, or sometimes another voice who is an angelic voice, or for you in some cases, I'll see a visual in my mind. If I see a visual on the right side, I know it's something that I'm witnessing for the person. I see a visual on the left side, I know I can tell them. There's a difference. There are some things that you will see that you're not supposed to tell a person because they're going to muddy the daylights out of it, because we always try to control things. And there's a lot of ethics with this also, what you do, which is why I don't talk about it a lot, because people energetically want to do things that's not for their best interest. I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in allowing myself to be a witness for you, to hear your own voice, to hear God speak through you, and for you to no longer limit God to say God is just through one person, one being, one thing. It's a consciousness, which is not something that you can contain in a bottle, right? And you'll find this consciousness showing up for you because we are so identity constructed. We need to have an identity or a name. So, okay, we have a Mother Mary and a Yeshua, but it's one source love, and we must try to understand that. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I want to give Maya or Shelly an opportunity to chime in on this conversation. I'm going to read this question for you, Nekesha, and then I'm going to let those two ask you a question. Um, Nekesha, how was your integration back to your life after your NDE? I've heard people say that it was challenging.
It was the biggest challenge for me. 6 months about 6 months after the NDE, I remember one night I was in the New York apartment, and it was challenging because I was feeling everyone's energy, and I didn't know then how to contain it. And I was getting these profound dreams and visions, and I was very upset because when you get a vision about something and then you see it come to pass and people die, it's hard in this physical body, because why did I get it? I don't want this information anymore. So I remember one night, I knew now that, if it's time for you to go, all you have to do is close your eyes and your body just expires. So I remember one night I planned, I was like, God, I'm ready to go back. I don't want to be here because it's too much. It's too weighted, because now I know all these things and I want to fix. And I didn't understand that I needed just to be a lighthouse. And I remember that night I said to myself, take me back, please. I just want to go back. I'm going to sleep. And when I go to sleep, just make me go back home. I already knew that my children's going to be okay. I planned it to the T. And I remember in that night, it wasn't a dream, it was a vision. And I remember, one of my guides showed me a woman on a bridge. And I was perturbed, like, yeah, okay, she's on the bridge. What? And they said, no, Nikita, feel. And I remember when I felt her energy, I said, it feels familiar. I felt that way before. I felt like I wanted to go. Nobody understands me. And they said, she has a house full of people, but she's still alone because nobody understands or sees her. And I remember I thought to myself, so what do? I just want to go back home. And here's why I'll never do this again. My guide said to me, there is a probability for you to pass her on the street one day, and all you have to give her is a smile. And I thought to myself, a smile? And they said, but it's not just a smile. Everything that you choose to do, remember, it's an energetic exchange. The smile that you will give to her allows her just for a moment to quiet the noise in her mind and hear her heart just for a second, just to hear her heart to say, you will be okay. So she doesn't make it to that bridge. And I thought to myself, if it's just a smile, I'll stay. And I remember when I got up out of that dream that night, I cried the whole night. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, God. I'll never ask you to take me again, because I will never. And I recognized they were showing me the probability of the woman doing it. She hasn't done it yet. I don't know if I passed her already or not. I know that everybody that I see when I feel the feeling to smile, I smile, because a smile is not just a smile anymore. But it also allows us to understand we all have a part to play in each other's life. Try to make it kind, right? So of course it changes. I can't unsee the things I've seen. I can't be the same Nikki I was 20 years ago. I don't care about judging, because I feel, you feel it. You just feel the energy, like looking at somebody with their child and judging them to say, oh my God, I wish it wasn't them. I can't do that anymore, because even doing that without using words, there's an energetic exchange, and it pounds on them. We have to try to be accountable.
Wow. Yeah. And what's interesting about what you just said is Spirit told me long time ago, if I do nothing else, one of my gifts is to smile at people. So it's just so interesting that you just said that. All right. So let me allow them to chime in. Which one of you guys have a question for Nekesha? We just definitely gonna have to bring her back, because time got away from us. But
I just have a quick question. How long did this experience last that you had?
There's no time. There's no time for my husband who was on the phone. He said about went by.
Hold on. Maya, you might have to, yeah, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
For my husband who was on the phone while I was out, he said it felt like maybe 3 to 4 minutes or 3 to 5 minutes. For me, there's no aspect of time. For me, it felt like I was there for 10 years. So in linear time, it wasn't past 5 minutes. Do you understand? But for me, it doesn't feel like that. The information that I received, everything that I knew coming back, it condensed what we call time. Do you know what I mean?
Because it sounded like it lasted for days, but only
Years.
minutes. Yeah. Okay.
Felt like it was years.
Yeah.
Wow, good one, Shelly.
No, I'm just soaking it all up
What?
because it's all very familiar. I just be curious about when people have these experiences, where do they get the names of the people they talk to? Like when you say you spoke to Jesus or the archangel, they told you their names, or you just knew that from growing up and associated with them?
Not even from growing up. There is just this present and this knowing, and you identify it without knowing how you identify it. That was on the other side. Now, when I'm in this form, when I'm in the presence of any energy, you see Jesus the way people explain Jesus now. And after a while, you get used to an imprint. So every energy that's within your field that's represented itself as an energy that you know, it gives you a different imprint in your body, which is why I try to teach people to feel. So with Yeshua, you feel this presence and warmth coming over you like that, and it just encapsulates your whole being, like it fills the room. Archangel Michael for me tingled from the crown straight down here. Mother Mary is from Gaia, from the earth, and I feel my back straightening up. The energies after a while gives you a completely different imprint, if that's what you mean. But on the other side, I had no idea the name of those angels that I was naming on the other side. I didn't know. And I don't think there are enough human words to explain Shelley or Tammy or whoever is listening. I don't think there's enough human words to explain the experience for the mind to wrap around it, right? Which is why I had these challenges with my family and with friends, because you don't know how to explain it. You just know what you know. And the knowing of it doesn't mean that you're better than anyone. It's just an experience that you went through instead of dying. And I prefer that experience rather than dying, knowing the things that I know now. But it also allows you, Shelley, to become this lighthouse for the people around you. And that's what's important to me. It's not important about talking about predictions, which is why I don't do it on my channel at all, because it festers fear, and we must be accountable with these things that we say. Because if people don't understand you talking about a prediction, they become fearful, and it makes it worse. But when if people understand the resonance of information, when you get a predictive dream or vision, there is always a message that comes with it that shows what the collective can do. And I don't hear people talking about that much to say, hey, let's partner in prayer about this. Let's send energy of meditation there. People don't say that, but they talk about the fluffy stuff for marketing. And I don't take part in that because it feeds fear. And when you feed fear, it creates a field of resonance, and it doesn't feed the power source of light. It feeds the power source of darkness. So I don't take part in that. Not the very fluffy stuff. Don't care about the marketing and the clickbaits. So how we know, you just know. Like you look on your child for the first day, Shelley, and you just know, I don't know. I don't care what happens in my lifetime. I will love you forever. And it's a presence that's just right within you. And you know this is love. And you know this is how this love is being identified to you. And that's all that is.
That's beautiful. And you know what? Even to your point, Shelly, were you getting ready to say something? To your point with the different energies. So there, I don't know if you're familiar with this lady named Angie Hipple. Angie, you're familiar with Angie. So I just saw an interview with her, and she brought in all like about 7 ascended masters: Jesus, Yogananda, Buddha, Confucius, Kuan Lin. Like she brought them in, and to your point, what you just saying, all of them carry a different energy. They all carry a different presence. And of course, when she talks about Yeshua, it's just like you just feel love. You just feel love. Mary Magdalene, like Mary Magdalene has this reputation that she was a prostitute, but her and Jesus, that was his love. And that's a false narrative about her being a prostitute that has been circulated for years, which the book of Mary that has been omitted from the Bible speak to that truth. So this is
The lesson from all of those is that we get caught up so much with identity,
yep,
and we get so caught up with what they call a prostitute, and we don't get to have the insight of the essence of who she was
right,
and the wisdom that she carried.
yep,
So, because we are caught up in identity in this earthbound construct and we choose to be a part of it, we don't see the bigger picture. And there's always a bigger picture. You understand?
yeah.
So, it's just being aware that am I connected or am I disconnected with Source? And that's all it is.
Love that. That is so good. That is so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I am going to bring it in. I did have some more questions, but I think I got the rapid ones that I wanted to address because there I do have someone that is watching, and I made the statement like you choose your parents, and so that's really kind of why I asked you that question for a particular individual.
Many times we ask the wrong questions. It's not why did I choose these parents? It's what lesson is coming
Right.
for them, for my family lineage, and for me through the parents that I have experienced. So I may have chosen to be here with these parents to break a generational curse, to break it in the nip, to ensure that for the next 100 years or 1,000 years in this family, it stops with me, which means that I'm going to be the first one who speaks out about an injustice in this family, which means I'm going to be the first rebel that steps out and decide that I'm not going to conform to these beliefs and things. So we ask the wrong questions. We're always, why is it? No, what lesson? What am I not seeing? What am I not feeling? Because as I said, there's always a bigger picture. So if we live and we always pointing a finger to say, oh my gosh, I hate my parents and because of them I'm this. No, you're asking the wrong questions. Why did I experience this? What has been happening in this family to all the women in this family? Wait, so I am here to break this generational curse, despite what they say. So I'm going to speak my truth about this, and it's cutting it in the nip right now. There is always a bigger picture. I kid you not. Your whole life is like a big, what do you call it, blockbuster movie.
Yep.
And when you get in and you recognize the people who are playing part, fire the director, fire the producer, fire the actors, get your stuff together and start rewriting and filming your own movie. So if it feels as if your life is in chaos right now, start to do checks and balances. Where is it coming from? A story, a pattern, people are in my life now, and begin to take accountability. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And choose. But there is always a bigger picture. We have to stop belaboring ourselves to say, you victimized me, so now I'm going to take victimhood. No, I'm not. Not anymore. Because if I take that, now I'm also going to be distracted and disconnected from my true assignment to be here. Yes, I experienced being a victim from you, but you're not taking my power away. And I'll be the last one you do that to. And that was my assignment for this earth. Okay, you just changed the trajectory of the next 100 years. You're a hero. Despite what you went through, if you didn't go through it, you couldn't walk through it. Stop asking God to change situations. Strengthen me and give me clarity so I can walk through this situation because there's something bigger that I'm playing at. And that's where we get disconnected a lot, and we just have to learn to trust the process, let go, and let that beautiful source of love walk us through it. Okay?
Yes. Okay. So, all right. I promise you guys, I'm bringing. I just gotta ask you to address this one more thing. In the case of those that are grieving, that
Mhm.
are having a hard time dealing with the loss of a loved one, even if it comes to a case of them not forgiving themselves for what happened in the situation, what words of encouragement could you give to someone right now? Because some people, based on what they have been taught about death, have a very, 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 very hard time dealing with it.
I understand the challenge of it because I've experienced it before. And I know how the human body firstly deals with it. And the first thing to say is don't ever put a timeline on yourself. You're not linear, especially in going through what we call a loss. But if you are experiencing this, I want you to always remember that that energy of love, the moment that you allow yourself to return to the center of what you shared with them, it makes the grief slowly dissipate, not go away, but dissipate because you remember the love more than the pain. If I am going to feed into fear or pain or grief right now, it will be more powerful. There is no death of the soul, of the love you experience. There is a death of the vehicle, the body which we touch. And because of that, and we've connected ourselves only to touch and this sight and not insight, we believe that we are at a loss. But whatever it is that's left behind, the remnants, it will always be with you. So allow yourself day by day to have moments when you can stop and say, how do I honor this person that I loved so much? And honor them in those memories of love and joy. And allow your nervous system now to slowly come back to this calm state of understanding. Wait, I can still feel the joy and the love. When I smell the cologne, when I'm in this space, when I think about them. And now it gives you more drive within you to look at your children to see, wow, this is why we came together. Because this child is going to change the world. This is why we had this partnership. Because this thing lives on and live on through it. Because life is not for you to just survive through. Life is for you to experience. So they experience theirs, they've expired, and there's so much support from the unseen. So allow yourself to go within when you lose somebody, go into silence and stillness so you can call upon source, you can feel that love flow through you. And remember, wow, it really hasn't gone, but the remnants of the physicality is not here anymore. But I can keep going because now you're living for two or three. Every time somebody passes, you have more love right here and you keep giving it. You don't take it away from yourself, but don't put timelines on yourself. Grieving is something that the body does because it doesn't yet understand what life represents. And until you get to that stage, be very gentle with yourself and just allow yourself to live one breath at a time, one step at a time, through that love and the memory that's left. And it doesn't go away.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I hope that message helps. I know it did. That was what I feel a lot of people needed to hear in that space. All right, so let us go ahead. I am going to Maya. Any final words, any questions, any comments? And when you sneeze, the soldier's dream said, bless you. Oh, any final words on tonight?
Very interesting. Um, some of the things that she's experienced, I experienced, so I connected with her with that. Um, Thank you for sharing. And I say my takeaway would just be to learn to love and not live in fear. You know, you never know what the next person is going through that you're entertaining. You know, that paths may cross yours. You never know. So lead with kindness, lead with kindness and love. Yes.
That's the secret sauce.
Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, doctor. Oh, and how can they contact you?
Good question. You can contact me at drmayaharrell@gmail.com. And I would like for you guys to go and follow my YouTube page, Dr. Maya H. That's it.
Nice.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yay. Love it, love it, love it. Shelly,
What is
Shelly.
your YouTube page, Miss Burrell?
It's in my name, Nekesha Burrell.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I promise y'all, like her well, y'all heard it. Her she's so calming. I just love listening to her. Shelly Shells. What you got?
What do I have? So much of what she said, I got. It was very true because I've experienced it myself. I just think that everyone. I say this every show: know thyself. You got to learn yourself and know what's best for you, and know the path you take. So just learn yourself. That's it. That's what he said. Know thyself, because everything is already in you. You just have to learn how to access it. So take some time to be with yourself, and like she said, get away from social media and everything designed to distract you and keep you blinded. Yeah, just know yourself. Study you. Yeah. And as usual, anything real estate, let me know. Yeah, stay focused. Yes.
Love it. You say everything real estate, but I don't think I heard you say how they can get in
Okay,
touch.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, you can reach me at ShellyJSims@gmail or rems.homes. It's on the screen. Um, yeah, yeah. Then go to poochpastries.com and order that book for your dog. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. You know, thank you, Shells. And you know what? And as I get ready to hand it over to you for your final thoughts and words before we close it out, like the term witch. A young lady put up a really cute video about that, and it's like that term has gotten such a bad name, but at the end of the day, it's just like something you just said, Shelly, made me just think about that. But I think it really kind of, and Nekesha, answer this question, and then I'll let you bring it in. And Rosemary says, "We are blessed to have you, Nekesha. Great conversations." Yes, we really are. I want you to okay, good night, Dr. Maya. Love you. And Shells, if you gotta go too, I'm gonna go ahead and let Nekesha answer this question and give her final words. Um, Witches. I've heard it said that we are witches. Is that a yes or a no question? No answer.
Intention is the first thing we have to talk about if we're going to talk about witches. Fear was placed in the word witch, which is the reason why when you hear that, you think of something dark. So instead of saying witch, we are all aware. We're all in the open field. We all have access to information at all times, which means we can use our intention to do good or bad. Let's say that. And get rid of the word witch for a moment. Now, if we want to say witch is somebody who uses this energy to do something negative, okay, that's fine. But we all can. The person who can do bad, you can also use the same energy to do good because it's one open field. It's open to everyone. So what is your intention when you say witch? Of course, we're all witches. And I can use my thought right now to cause havoc, or I can use it for love. And that's what we all do every day, consciously and unconsciously. So it still comes back to our accountability and our power to choose. Yeah.
That's it. That's what I wanted to hear because I knew it, but I wanted others to hear that too. So thank you, thank you for that, Shelly. You came off of mute.
I was just gonna say thank you. I've been waiting for someone to say that. Well, not say that, people to know that.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Well, everything there is, there's a good and a bad. So it's what you. So even in reference to the word witch, there's good witches, there's bad witches. There's good doctors, there's bad doctors. There's good, there's that. It's all on you and what you choose to do.
It's all a choice.
Yes.
It's all a choice.
the
Everything is a
intention.
choice. And your intention.
I love it. Okay.
And
Good.
on
So
that,
hopefully,
good night, guys.
good night. Hopefully somebody walked away. All right, Nekesha, give us some final words and let the people know how they can get in contact with you and be a part of the amazing work that you're doing.
Okay, good. You know what? I will end by saying this because I think I said everything else. When you wear a mask for too long, after a while, you forget who you are. And many of us have been wearing a mask for way too long. The mask of I don't trust myself, I think I'm not worthy, all these things that we say every day. And it's about time we allowed ourselves to breathe by unmasking these things without judgment, with pure love, and with compassion for yourself first, so you can see the unhealed in other people and become a teacher for them too, right? So if you can choose to do that today, that's the first step. And that's all you need to start with. Instead of saying, I don't know who I am, you are pure love. You were born whole. You are not broken. Stop letting people tell you that. But there's a story that is broken and it's ready to go. So sit with yourself to recognize what is this broken story that's trying to convince me that I'm not worthy to love myself enough to choose a partner who will pour into me spiritually and emotionally. And move from there. Okay? And just breathe. In every moment, in all the walks in your life, whenever you feel or identify anything that's about to pull you from your peace or keep you up at night, can you stop being reactive and just pause for a moment to decide, is this even a threat to me now? Is it worth my energy now? Is it worth anything of me now? And stop making bad investments every day by being angry because somebody else was angry you don't even like them. Okay? So if you choose to do this, one foot in front of the other, you'll become aware of the things that aren't serving you. And kid you not, by the end of this year, if you walk like this, you're going to be so much lighter and you're going to have so much less invisible cords between you and problems that ain't even yours. Okay? Now, to find me, my YouTube is Nekesha Burrell. I do a lot of core teachings there. My community is Soul Shift Academy, hosted on school. And my website is souldeepconsciousness.love, and everything else is there. Okay? Get my books. On My Way to Meet God is a very good one if you're ready for, that type of information. If not, Seasons of Grace is better for those of you who are still on the spiritual path and the religious path. And it just guides you day by day to see what season you're going through. So you get support and you get to journal to really be accountable for you. Tammy, thank you so much for having me tonight. It was fun. When I talk about my NDE, it's a long talk. So we both got ourselves in trouble, okay? Because it's
No,
hard
we
to leave
didn't.
parts out,
We
okay?
didn't. We did. We no. We did. Listen. We did exactly what we were supposed to do.
Thank you so
Because this is a topic that is like I could go on and on about because there's so many stories out there about it,
Yeah,
but people have been closed off to the awareness of it.
yeah,
And that's
unfortunately.
the thing. We need to bring awareness to it. And just like you said, it can't gave you a perspective on how to live
Yeah,
because and as I listen to you, it's like our stories are so similar that I was like, oh my gosh, like in my book, I talk about the mask. We wear the mask, and I'm the social butterfly, but was struggling with depression, and I had them thoughts of wanting to end. In fact, my
yeah,
book came from me begging God to take my life. So I been there. I know what you're talking about. And
yeah,
then the similarity of us, like when I saw your description, like spiritual mentor, it was interesting because I started as a minister. Then I said, okay, I'm a motivational speaker, which I am a transformational speaker. But when I was in Jamaica last year, Spirit spoke to me and said, you're a spiritual mentor.
mhm,
And so and it was kind of hard to put that on there because you don't really see that title. So
yeah,
when I saw yours, I was like, there it is, there it is. And this was in September. So yes,
yeah,
Spirit spoke in Jamaica said you're a spiritual mentor. So I thank you
mhm.
for this, and I'm so grateful to you and viewers. Thank you for sticking in with us. I hope you all got something from it. And so let me just go ahead and bring this in for those who don't know me. I am Tammi B. I am a coach, a spiritual mentor, transformational speaker. You could obtain more information at www.tammib.com. I'm also an author. I use my story to help you with yours. You can find more information about that as well. Again, to the men, remember Saturday, August 1st, pause, breathe, bro, you matter, taking place, full day event of transformation, safe space for men to come together. And again, if you want to sponsor or take out an ad, thassawoman@gmail.com for more information. So as always, with much love and gratitude, I just say thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And I do like to say that if you are not a part of our community, please support us by subscribing, as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with new content. And for the free 99, yes, the free 99, I ask, please support us. Click the like button, share this. There is someone I know you know that needs to hear this message. All right. And listen, next Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month. We will be having Wisdom Wednesday. And it's so interesting, when I was listening to Nekesha's story, she talked about the government and things like that. And the topic next week is the psychology of government.
Ooh, interesting.
So you already know that's going to be a deep, deep talk. So you all are invited back to join us again next week. So listen, in closing, I leave you guys with this. The biggest adventure you can ever take in life is to live the life of your dreams. And that comes from Oprah Winfrey. And words to go with that: dreams aren't meant to be stay stuck tucked away in your imagination. They are meant to be lived. The journey won't always be easy. There will be moments of uncertainty. There will be setbacks and challenges that test your faith and determination. But every step you take towards your dream is a step towards becoming the person that you, yes, you were created to be. As always, stay amazing. Peace, love, and blessings. Good night.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.